Thank you. Most of you are aware, our meetings are being recorded and will be posted on the county's YouTube channel in the near future. Since the last time we met here, there are 3 times that I can think of that the commissioners were together, although none of them are technically executive sessions. They were purely informational. Oh, except for a union negotiation, excuse me. So on the 17th, the board met regarding strategy related to a union negotiation. On the 23rd, we talked about staffing and structure of a department. And on the 24th, we talked about a county land bank, meaning that another group presented information to us about their land bank. So there was really no business discussion between the commissioners as to whether we would do anything about it or not. Did I miss anything? Okay. I'm not aware of any correspondence to bring before the board. Do either of you have anything to bring before the board? All right. No cause for public hearing. All right. We moved our public comment section up to the beginning so that citizens wouldn't have to sit through the entire meeting if they didn't want to in order to express something to us. So if it's not on the agenda, feel free to raise it now. All right. Hearing none, you'll still... Mr. Scully.
Has the Board of Commissioners considered any more about the requests I had that all volunteers are checked out prior to being accepted to the fire departments, and then a background check on all new candidates wishing to become volunteer firemen or any form of volunteer work?
So I can speak to that. The legislation was not drafted until last Friday. I got a copy of it yesterday. I reviewed it. I don't have any significant issues with it. I did send over a couple recommendations to Representative Rapp regarding the legislation, but basically anyone who applies to be in the fire department already signed something that says that they have not committed arson. This would also add to that first, second, and third degree sexual not harassment. I forget what the technical term is, but anyway, I didn't have a real problem with it. I don't know if anyone in public safety has had a chance to think about it. If you had any issues with it.
Most municipalities and fire departments have a criminal background check.
Right.
We have one in play.
They have, what's that?
We have one in play.
For ambulance, if anybody rides an ambulance, it's mandatory by
Right.
Department of Health Code that they have to have a child abuse clearance. Anybody with that statute would approve that. So that's ambulance or the departments that are QRS certified, which includes all the 2 departments in all of our counties.
Right. So on the EMS side, it's already taken care of. I don't have a problem with the fire legislation. My main recommendation was that they also consider, if they're going to open this up, that they also consider other crimes that I think firefighters could be in a situation to recommit, namely grand theft, potentially DUI. But I wasn't pushing necessarily for those additions, simply that they should be considered. And then I guess we could write a resolution in support of it for the next meeting. Pam, would you mind helping me out on that? As long as the rest of the board is okay with that, generally speaking.
I haven't had a chance to review the legislation, but I haven't heard anything that
Cool.
I found objective to yet.
Okay.
So yes.
Seems like a rather repetitive issue, but most of the departments already require clearances and such. But I guess if the state wants to pass
It's
it.
not required on the fire department side.
Right.
They are required on the EMS side, but like I said, there's a couple fire departments in the county that don't run EMS, so it's
Would have to be up to each volunteer fire department to issue a policy.
correct.
Correct.
And this would make it more. It's probably a really good idea.
Well, I think that it's like most things and most regulations where there's a handful that create the overall problem, and so the minor checkup of the box is something that needs to be done in order to alleviate that, so be it.
It's a protection for the fire departments.
Mhm.
And now, even like any of the volunteer organizations, such as a church or athletics, they're exempt from the fee. So, you know, it would be the same thing. Hopefully, it's, you know, the background check would be free for this for volunteers.
Yep.
And did you say there's a bill?
There is now a bill.
Can you give me the number by any chance?
Yep. Well,
Why don't we do that after?
yeah, I'll find it while we're going through the agenda. Does the agenda meet with, or excuse me, does anyone else have public comment? Then moving on to the agenda, does the agenda meet with everyone's agreement?
Yes.
Yes.
It's House Bill 2220. So 2220, 2220 of this year, obviously. Have you reviewed the minutes?
Yeah.
Any corrections?
I didn't find any.
None. Very good. Fiscal report.
You have that fiscal report in front of you. The only big item that we added as a line item was the pass-through for the secure rural schools account. That'll be going out with our normal payables in the next couple of weeks. But we did want to put it on there. And then healthcare is a little lower as well, which is always nice. And then probably I'll be watching it closely over the next couple of weeks relative to cash flow, see when we have to tap the TAN again.
Right.
Other than that, that's it for that's the end of the report.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
I did note that the projected balance is 400,000. I thought that we had agreed that anything under 5,000 we would hit the TAN.
500?
500,000. Yeah.
We had agreed to that previously.
I think it was before my
Yeah.
time.
So we might want to look at that.
If that's what you folks want to do, that's fine. We're trying to tighten it up a little bit so we're not incurring, it's not a significant amount of interest, but it's still interest, so we
Right.
can avoid.
Yeah, I think that's something that policy is something we want to have a discussion about and revisit, just because we've done that for a year now, and I think that there's been discussion about whether it's necessary or not, and I think we should review that.
Do you see any big hits in the general fund?
That's school rural
That's
school
it?
one's the big one,
Okay.
but everything else, payables are all paid and done and out of there, so. I
After
don't
this,
foresee-
next week,
Yeah,
nothing?
nothing.
All right.
One question Mr. Scully had raised in the past was whether or not we take an administrative cut of the secure rural schools payments. Do you know if we do? So I do not believe that we do.
I don't think so. I can double check that though.
Okay, thanks. All right, any other questions for the fiscal director? Very good. Then moving on to proclamations. We have 4 proclamations today. I'd like to read the Apraxia one. Commissioner Eggleston, would you be willing to read the foster care?
Sure.
And Commissioner Morrison, the Relay for Life one. And obviously Commissioner Eggleston's bringing the Mental Health Month, so I assume that's you.
Yep.
All right, let's go ahead and get started. Whereas children apraxia of speech causes children to have extreme difficulty planning and producing the precise, highly refined, and specific series of movements of the tongue, lips, jaws, and palate that are necessary for the production of proper speech. And whereas it is among the most severe of speech and communication problems in children, and whereas, while the act of learning to speak comes effortlessly to most children, those with apraxia endure an incredible and lengthy struggle. And whereas, although not life-threatening, it is life-altering as families are left to cope with the emotional, physical, and financial challenges of having a child diagnosed with CAS. And whereas, without appropriate intervention, children with CAS are at high risk for secondary impacts in literacy and other school-related skills. And whereas, we encourage insurance providers and schools to recognize the critical need to provide adequate speech therapy and other services so that the impact of this disorder can be minimized and so that the affected children can grow into productive, contributing adult citizens. And whereas every child should be afforded their best opportunity to develop speech, and whereas, with early intervention and appropriate therapy, most children with CAS will learn to communicate with their very own voices, and whereas these children, as well as their families, deserve our highest respect for their effort, determination, and resilience in the face of such obstacles, And whereas today we want to recognize the Childhood Apraxia of Speech Association of Northern America, whose mission is to strengthen the support systems in the lives of children with apraxia through information and support related to CAS on its website, which is www.apraxia-kids.org. Now therefore be it resolved that we, the Commissioners of Warren County, hereby proclaim May 2018 as Apraxia Speech Awareness Month in Warren County, adopted the 25th day of April 2018. This proclamation came to us at the request of the Hammerbeck family. So if the Commissioners don't have anything that they would like to add, I'd like to ask if Ms. Hammerbeck had anything to add.
I do. I just want to thank you for recognizing Apraxia Awareness Month. It's very important to my husband and I, as we have a young son that has apraxia. And I thank you for acknowledging that. And, you know, the whole goal is to raise awareness for other people to find help and to get the help that they need, not to brush it aside and say my child is going to speak when he's ready, because unfortunately that's not always the case. So thank you.
Thank you so much for coming. After we pass all the proclamations, I'd like to sign the copy that we have and get a picture with Mrs. Hammerbeck, if that's all right with you both.
Second.
I would just add that I was not aware of apraxia until I got involved in the Challenger League through Little League, which is for children with various challenges. And there were a couple kids involved in that had apraxia, and I was coaching at the time, and it was a lot of fun, and I think it's really important, and I'd like to see in the future that we do a little bit more with these proclamations, that awareness is drawn to these, because I think that giving people an opportunity to see and understand the challenges related to them really helps with the community's awareness, ability to deal with it, and then also communicate with the family, get to know them, get to know the challenges and stuff. And it lessens it just across the board. I think it makes it a lot easier just for everybody to understand it. So thank you for bringing this to our attention. Very, very glad that we got a chance to assign this.
Yeah, thank you. Commissioner Eggleston, would you read the National Foster Care Month proclamation?
My pleasure. National Foster Care Awareness, or National Foster Care Month in Warren County. Whereas the family, serving as the primary source of love, identity, self-esteem, and support, is the very foundation of our communities and our state. And nationally, there are more than 437,000 children and youth in foster care, 15,000 in Pennsylvania and 12 in Warren County. And all young people in foster care need a meaningful connection to someone who can be a support and lasting presence in their lives. And foster, kinship, and adoptive families who open their hearts and families to children whose families are in crisis play a vital role in helping children and families heal and reconnect, thereby launching young people into successful adulthood. And dedicated foster families frequently adopt foster children, resulting in a greater need for more foster families. And there are numerous individuals, public and private organizations, who work to increase public awareness of the needs of children in and leaving foster care, as well as the enduring and valuable contribution of foster parents and the foster care system is only as good as those who choose to be part of it. Now, therefore, the Commissioners of Warren County do hereby proclaim May as National Foster Care Month in Warren County and urge all citizens to come forward and do something positive that will change a lifetime for a young person in foster care. And I would just say, to go along with this, that our human services and children and youth organizations and the county in general, I think, does a phenomenal job with foster care. I was fortunate enough over a year ago, I think now, been that long? To go on several ride-alongs to different foster families, one of which has now adopted their child, who would be in incredibly difficult circumstances otherwise, and instead are going to spend the rest of their life in a loving family that's going to help them grow. And the kid that I saw was just beaming with life and experience, and I ran into the mother sometime recently, and she was just so happy and thrilled to have the child. So I think that the more we can support these kinds of initiatives and support that system, I think it'll be good for a lot of different people.
Very good. Anything more from the commissioners on that? DHS? All right. Commissioner Morrison?
Relay for Life, Paint the Town Purple. Whereas Relay for Life is a life-changing event sponsored by the American Cancer Society that helps communities across the globe celebrate the lives of people who have battled cancer, remember loved ones lost, and fight back against the disease. Whereas one person can make a difference, which was evident with the story that began in Tacoma, Washington in the mid-1980s with Dr. Gordon Klatt, a Tacoma colorectal surgeon who wanted to enhance the income of his local American Cancer Society office and show support for all of his patients who had battled cancer. Dr. Klatt decided to personally raise money for the fight by doing something he enjoyed, running marathons. And whereas through Dr. Klatt's efforts, during which he ran for 24 hours and raised $27,000 to fight cancer that first year, his vision has become a national event, providing the opportunity for thousands of communities to come together to plan team relay events and other fundraising activities which are instrumental in helping the American Cancer Society save more lives and create more birthdays by helping more people stay well and get well. Now therefore be it resolved that we, the Commissioners of Warren County, hereby proclaim the month of May 2018 as Paint the Town Purple for Relay for Life of Warren County. And be it further resolved that all public officials, employees, and all the citizens of Warren County show our support by painting the county purple during the month of May, by wearing purple clothing and/or accessories, and by adorning purple bows and ribbons on buildings and cars, and in an effort to promote the mindset of thinking survivor. Wear it proud and wear it loud. Adopted this 25th day of April, 2018.
Good. Thank you. Any
Welcome.
comments?
Well, for any of us, I'm sure most of us have been touched by someone we love who's either suffering with cancer or lost the battle with cancer. I have had several family members myself, and a friend recently was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and he's struggling very, very much right now. So just remember those who are struggling with cancer and pray for those that are struggling, that they can endure that battle with courage, and show compassion toward their families. And please pray for those who have lost their battle with cancer, for their families to be able to accept their loss and the struggle that comes with that.
Thank you. Any other comment? Very good. Public comment?
You're looking at a survivor of cancer. I was very fortunate due to the cancer center that we have in Warren. When Dr. Courtroom was here, I had 150 seats put in me with 5 weeks of radiation. And guess what? I'm still here. But I also lost a sister that fought cancer for 12 years. So I know what the sorrow is of the families. But the sorry part of mine was that I laugh at it now. I was told for 5 weeks I couldn't touch my grandchildren. And you that know me, I'm very close to 2 of them. And I had to say to them, please sit at the opposite end of the room that your grandfather's in, because of the radiation that I had put into me. But I'm very proud to say that Warren General Hospital's Cancer Center is a very good place to go for treatment. And those that don't think so, I believe we ought to check into it, because they have some very good cancer doctors over there, and I'm living proof of it. Thank you.
Yeah. As part of my 50 and 50 tour, a couple weeks ago, I toured the Cancer Center, and I'd never been in there. I was very impressed.
This is
All right, last proclamation, Mental Health Month.
Okay, Mental Health Awareness Month 2018, presented in conjunction with Systems of Care. Whereas on behalf of the citizens of Warren County, Pennsylvania, we're pleased to join Forest Warren Department of Human Services and Forest Warren Mental Wellness Association in promoting May 2018 as Mental Health Awareness Month in Warren County. And mental health is essential to everyone's overall health and well-being. All Americans experience times of difficulty and stress in their lives. 1 in 5 American adults will experience a mental health issue this year. And promoting the Awareness Month provides individuals in the mental health community an opportunity to educate the public and policymakers about the social and financial effectiveness of services available. And prevention is an effective way to reduce the impact of mental health conditions. And there is a strong body of research that supports specific tools that all Americans can use to better handle challenges to protect their health and well-being. And mental health conditions are real and prevalent in our nation. With effective treatment, those individuals with mental health conditions can and do recover and lead full, productive lives. And each business, school, government agency, healthcare provider, organization, and citizen shares the effects of mental health issues and has a responsibility to promote mental wellness and support prevention efforts to reduce the impact of mental health issues. Therefore, we, the Commissioners of Warren County, do hereby proclaim May 2018 as Mental Health Month in Warren County. We also call upon the citizens, government agencies, public and private institutions, businesses, and schools in Warren County to recommit our community to increasing awareness and understanding of mental health, the steps our citizens can take to protect their mental health, and the need for appropriate and accessible services for all people with mental health conditions. And so obviously this month and this proclamation is very important to me as someone who years ago had issues with mental health. Some probably would challenge that I still do. You know, as a teenager and in my 20s, I suffered from depression and then eventually had an alcohol abuse disorder, I guess. And fortunately, this past year I celebrated 13 years of continuous sobriety, very happy about that. And so with this, I always take this stuff a little bit more seriously maybe than I do some of the other stuff, just because it hits home. Also very important to me because I have a child with autism. I have 2 children technically with autism, and have gotten more and more and more involved in the world of mental health. And so for this month, I'm very happy to say that there are a lot of different things that are going to be going on in the month of May, and so I wanted to take the time to kind of announce some of those and discuss them very quickly. One, I have a stack of sheets outside for the Build a Tree campaign or celebration, more like. This is going to be done in conjunction with Forest Warren Mental Wellness, Human Services, and Systems of Care, which is there to help coordinate, you know, in a variety of these initiatives. I'd like to thank Betsy Miller for being one of the people on the committee that's contributed a lot, and the group that's trying to put this together. So basically, the Build a Tree campaign is going to focus mostly on the schools, but it's also going to be available to the entire community, to businesses that want to get involved in it. Essentially, what we've gone with this tree motive of trying to convey that we can grow stronger if we work together. So the trees in the school will be built in the various art classes. They'll build a tree out of whatever material they want, and then also they will basically, each kid will create a leaf, whether it's their handprint or something else, and then affix it to the tree and discuss something related to their mental health or mental health in general, or a positive story that they have about, you know, a challenge that they face or someone that helped them. It can be anything, you know, as long as it's related to mental health awareness. The schools and individuals will then be asked to take pictures of those trees and then supply them to the point of contact on the sheet. And all the pictures will be gathered and then put on a tree as a part of another project in the library, in the Warren Public Library, as a part of the symposium that we will be conducting on May 31st. So this is going to take place during the entire, or most of the month of May. The deadline for submissions for the pictures is going to be May 18th. This is going to be circulated to all the schools, and then they'll start working on it probably at the beginning of May, and then we'll get the pictures. So this is another way to encourage mental health awareness among kids and families. You know, just looking at general statistics, it's pretty clear that there are a variety of issues in our schools related to mental health. 50% of all lifetime cases of mental illness begin at age 14, 75% at age 24. 1 in 5 children ages 13 to 18 have or will have a serious mental illness. This is something that our hope with this tree and the project in general is to get people comfortable talking about their mental health, talking about mental health in general, encourage them to see that they're part of a group, that everybody's a piece of that group, and that if the group is going to be strong, the group as a whole has to grow together, and there has to be a level of acceptance. I think there's also a point to try to convey to everybody that everybody's got some kind of challenge with mental health, whether it's diagnosed or not, and to try to get comfortable from that perspective. Second project, which I don't have a flyer for yet, that'll be circulated today, is going to be a poster and a writing contest. This will be open to the public, but again, it's going to be focusing a lot on schools. And the third thing is the Mental Health Awareness Symposium, which is going to take place on May 31st from 6 to 8 p.m. in the Slater Room and the gallery at the Warren Public Library. This is going to be an event that's open to the public, and the public's encouraged to attend. There'll be presentations and then also speeches by people that have various success stories related to mental health. There'll be presentations by providers and other individuals. There'll also be literature and a lot of opportunities to have discussions about mental health at that event. And then the gallery is basically going to be open because during the course of the month, we're going to be collecting stories anonymously from the community related to overcoming challenges related to mental health, confessionals related to mental health, stories as far as the spectrum can see, and then going to be basically taking all of those, collecting them, and then putting them on a tree in the library's gallery that should be rather big. And then during the course of the event, we'll have people, actors who will be reading some of them as a part to try to share some of the best, what we think are the best stories that share a positive message of mental health and recovery. And I think that's it.
Very good. Any other comments from the commissioners about that proclamation? Public comment?
I would add, with your comment regarding mental health is important to you because of your history. With 1 in 5 adults having experienced mental illness, I don't believe that you're the only one probably in this room that's been affected by it, whether it's directly you or a family member or a friend. So it is widespread, but many of us are affected by that. So I would just ask you to keep that in mind.
Thank you. All right, then at this time I would ask for a motion to approve the agenda. The minutes from April 11th, the fiscal report is presented, the proclamations for Apraxia, foster care, Relay for Life, and Mental Health Month.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please state aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. Could we sign that proclamation real quick and get a picture with Ms. Hammerbeck?
Sure.
If you want to come on up, we'll get a picture.
Mr. Child?
He's 6. He'll be 7 in July. He does, he's actually working on his last name right now. So,
Okay.
yeah, we try and take
Making
those
some
videos
progress.
and kind of track the progress for our own, again, mental health, for the depression and stuff that goes along with it. So, it's
That's
such
your
a good
old
to
job?
No, we haven't always.
Yeah, technology.
Yeah.
Sure, that's the help.
Yeah.
That's good.
You can come back here. Just real quick.
How about ladies in the middle?
I feel like we're
You want to hold that? I didn't sign it yet. Hold on. Don't move. Okay.
Thank you, Pam.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Our family appreciates that. Thank you.
Okay, back to our regular business. There's no old business. For new business, we have an appointment to the Planning Commission, a resolution related to CDBG, an agreement with Westlaw, and the Experience Inc. contract. First item, there has been a vacancy on the Warren County Planning Commission Board. Dan Glotz's recommendation is to appoint Todd Hendricks to serve a 4-year term beginning January 1st, 2018, so effective immediate. It would expire December 31st, 2021. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
I will second that.
Any discussion? Public comment? All right, the motion before us is to appoint Todd Hendricks to the Planning Commission Board. All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Motion carried unanimously. Next is Resolution 3105, which is a budget modification for CDBG. I would call upon Lori Dunlap to explain the document before us.
Sort of revisiting an issue that we discussed a few weeks ago. We have some old money that's unspent that needs to be moved into projects that are more current so that they can be spent in a timely manner. We had proposed moving it into a Center Street project in Bear Lake, and I submitted it to DCED, and my grant manager kindly suggested that we move it into a project that's going to be completed a little more quickly than that, and that's the yes, I'm like starting to Hurston Hall Street Waterline project in Sheffield, which is slated to start May 1st. It was a good suggestion, and so I proposed that we move $88,071.77 from the county's fiscal years 2013, 14, and 15 CDBG contracts into the Hurston Hall Street Waterline project in Sheffield.
Very good. Would someone on the board make that motion?
I move to approve that.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Any further discussion from the board? Public comment? All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Motion 3105 is approved. Next is an agreement with Westlaw. Could I call upon Linda Kreitzer to remind us what this is about? Very good, and we had talked at the work session about trying to latch others onto this agreement. I assume we can do that at a later time. Other departments, such as I believe the library, the law library.
I don't think we can do that.
Okay.
We talked about the printed version.
Oh, that was right. It was just Ed. Just Ed. Okay. All right. Well, we can revisit that another time then. Thank you very much. Any questions for Mrs. Kreitzer? Very good. Then I'd entertain a motion to approve the 2 agreements for
I'll make that
Westlaw.
motion.
I'll second.
Further discussion?
I just state that this is essentially a routine contract and that there's a slight increase in the budgeted amount, but we get a lot more service for that minor increase, and it's very much worth the time for the court to enter the contract.
Any public comment? Then all those in favor of approving the Westlaw agreements, please state aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. And the last thing on the new business agenda is related to Experience Inc. You may remember towards the end of last year we passed an agreement with Experience Inc. Related to some long outstanding debt and ineligible uses related to the 3-way agreement between TALK, Experience Inc. and the county. We found after going to make our first payment that the amount was not exactly correct. I believe it was about $300 off, something to that effect. So This is just a quick and easy adjustment from, I believe it was 100 and, do you have the exact number?
Yeah, so this is essentially my fault. There were a variety of emails that were sent back and forth between myself and the former fiscal director, also with experiencing, trying to come to a total sum on the amount that the experiencing paid the county to then pay the talk, to then pay the transit or PennDOT as a local match. Experiencing last year or 2 years ago, had overpaid, had paid the amount they were supposed to pay what would have been this year, that year. And so as a result, there was a $3,000 discrepancy between what the number that we had and the number that they actually paid. This was discovered after we had voted on the agreement. The number that I had was the number that I'd originally gotten from our former fiscal director. So all we are doing is we felt that because there's an adjustment that this should be brought to a public meeting and then voted on. This will make a difference of $300 a year in a repayment to the experiencing.
Very good. Any questions for Commissioner Eggleston? Do I hear a motion to approve the agreement as amended?
I'll make a motion to approve the agreement as presented.
Do I hear a second? I'll second that. Further discussion from the board? Any public comment? Very well. All those in favor of approving the agreement before us with Experience Inc., please state aye. Aye. Opposed?
I will abstain.
One abstention. Got it. Very good. Last thing for comments is the personnel transaction report. Since our last meeting, we have 5 new hires. Candace Goldberg in the Sheriff's Office as a part-time deputy at a rate of $16.50 an hour. Reen English in Human Services at a rate of $12.63 an hour. Jennifer Pollock, also at Human Services, $11.45. Eric Melquist, also Human Services, $13.50 an hour. And Shashawn Mays, a 911 dispatcher at 10, which is until she's out of probation? The training, okay. In terms of promotions, we have Joseph Bevavino up at Children and Youth, moving from caseworker 1 to 2, now at a rate of $15.57. And Meredith Ketchum is moving from Children and Youth Administrator 3 to Assistant Administrator, right, to Administrator. And that rate we passed at the last salary board. In terms of separations, we have a resignation from William Mickle in the Sheriff's Office. Nano Lopez in Human Services is retiring. April Ghazali is also retiring from Human Services. Any questions related to the personnel transaction report? I'd ask for a motion to ratify.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Public comment? All those in favor of approving the personnel transaction report as of today, please state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Commissioner comments? Public comment? Very good. Then I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned at 12:45.